Her eyelids drooped halfway shut, her respiration calm and rhythmic, yet her pulse pounded violently within her ribcage. Every employee at the firm recognized her as the untouchable executive, a professional who revealed no feelings, placed faith in no one, and permitted not a single person near enough to wound her. Yet this evening, remaining perfectly still on the sofa inside her transparent-walled executive suite, she existed not as a chief executive. She existed as someone desperately seeking the reality, for the gentleman positioned before her, the widowed father serving as her after-hours administrative aide, had awakened something within her spirit that bewildered her, and she needed to discover whether his compassion held authenticity or represented merely another facade similar to those she had witnessed throughout her existence. Therefore she feigned unconsciousness, observing to determine his actions. Yet nothing could have readied her for the events that followed. Initially, he remained there without sound, his fingers quivering faintly as he repositioned the covering across her upper body. She sensed its tender heaviness, the manner in which he folded the edge beside her jawline, nearly as though he feared she might develop a chill. Her torso constricted. Nobody had performed something this uncomplicated, this genuine for her in countless years. His departure didn't come right away. He simply remained there observing her features through an extended, soundless interval before murmuring something with such gentleness she nearly believed she'd conjured it. "Your labor is excessive, madam. Whatever wounded you previously remains unknown to me, but rest is something you've earned." She became motionless. That vocal quality. Sympathy wasn't present within it. Manipulation wasn't present either. Authenticity defined it. And inexplicably it caused the barriers surrounding her spirit to start fracturing. Employment beneath someone of her stature had never entered his intentions. Daniel existed as an unmarried parent. His entire universe revolved around his young daughter, Emma. Following his spouse's death 3 years prior, he'd accepted whatever employment presented itself, regardless of its demands. The role at Knight Industries, the municipality's most dominant corporation, was intended as provisional. After-hours administrative work, documentation management, beverage retrieval. Nothing beyond that. Yet destiny possessed alternative intentions. From the initial day, she captivated him. Evelyn Knight, the chief executive all personnel dreaded. Her gaze held the coldness of metal, her manner of speaking more cutting than crystal. Still beneath that assurance, he perceived something additional, an isolation she attempted concealing behind her flawless hairstyle, her pristine business attire, and her quietness. She would remain until sunrise within that suite, laboring beneath low illumination, perpetually solitary. And whenever he attempted inquiring about her well-being, she'd interrupt him with that identical phrase, "Simply perform your duties, Mr. Hale." Yet this evening, upon his arrival discovering her unconscious, skull resting upon her forearm, the subdued radiance of her monitor still illuminating her features, something within him transformed. The chief executive no longer occupied his vision. His vision held a professional who'd at last lowered her defenses. Waking her seemed beyond consideration. Rather, he draped her with his personal coat and murmured those phrases that had emerged directly from his emotions, phrases he remained unaware she perceived in their entirety. The following dawn, Evelyn behaved as though nothing had transpired. Her defenses reconstructed themselves. Yet something within her had altered. As Daniel entered bearing her morning beverage, she registered his weary gaze, the subtle shadows beneath his eyes, the pigment marks upon his fingers. Inquiring about his condition tempted her, yet the method eluded her. Expressing concern audibly had become foreign to her, until that afternoon's moment when the lift compartment opened and a young girl collided directly with her lower limbs. "Father," the child exclaimed, grasping a wax stick illustration, "I created this for your supervisor." Daniel's complexion drained of color. "Emma, pause." Evelyn gazed downward and observed the artwork, 3 figures clasping hands, Emma, Daniel, and herself. Her pulse faltered. "This belongs to me," she inquired gently. Emma affirmed with pride. "Father claims you possess strength resembling costume champions, but costume champions require companions, as well." Evelyn's throat worked with difficulty, attempting to conceal the unexpected moisture in her vision. For the initial occasion in years, another person had recognized her as something beyond a professional designation. That evening, slumber evaded her. His phrases repeated within her consciousness, "Rest is something you've earned." She had constructed a commercial dynasty from suffering, from disloyalty, from evenings spent weeping behind secured entrances. Her paternal parent had abandoned the family during her 12th year. Her maternal parent had perished while maintaining 3 sources of income, and every gentleman she'd ever placed faith in had exploited her for her influence. Survival through emotional numbness became her education. Yet Daniel and his daughter were instructing her regarding something alternative, something perilous. 7 days afterward, she discovered him unconscious at his workstation, his skull resting upon his forearms, a miniature photograph of Emma gripped within his palm. The fatigue evident upon his features shattered something within her. She removed her outer garment, arranged it across him, and murmured, "Rest is something you've earned as well, Mr. Hale." His position shifted minimally, her designation emerging from his lips during slumber. She became motionless, her respiration halting. Did his dreams contain her presence? Days transformed into weeks, and an unexpressed connection expanded between them. He introduced amusement into her clinical environment, and she introduced constancy into his turbulence. Acknowledgement never came from either, yet every company member perceived it. The manner her vocal quality mellowed during their exchanges, the manner his gaze persisted an instant excessively extended. Subsequently arrived the evening that transformed everything. Evelyn experienced an emotional collapse throughout a directors' assembly. A financial backer among them alleged her excessive sentimentality rendered her incompetent for corporate management. The accusation struck a vulnerability she'd believed permanently expired. She fled from the room, forcing her sweet entrance closed violently, resisting moisture she prohibited anyone from witnessing. Yet Daniel had already positioned himself there. Knocking didn't occur. Inquiry didn't occur. He simply entered and stated, "Disintegration occasionally holds acceptability. Perfection isn't your obligation." Her gaze lifted toward him, trembling. "Comprehension eludes you, Daniel. Should my perfection cease, complete disintegration follows. Individuals rely upon me. Vulnerability remains beyond my financial capacity." He advanced nearer, his vocal quality subdued yet unwavering. "You designate that as vulnerability? My designation for that is fortitude. Solitary burden-bearing has consumed your existence for extensive duration. Perhaps the moment has arrived for assistance with that burden." And during that instant, something within her ruptured outward. The moisture arrived rapidly, beyond restraint. Verbal expression never came from him. He simply embraced her, not as her subordinate, not as a gentleman pursuing personal gain, simply a person embracing another person who'd maintained strength for excessive duration. As she eventually withdrew, her features bore moisture trails, yet appeared gentler. "Appropriate phrases consistently emerge from you," she murmured. His smile held faintness. "That occurs because authenticity drives my words." Multiple weeks afterward, she chose to evaluate him a final occasion, not from uncertainty, but because understanding whether his compassion originated from affection or obligation required confirmation. She feigned unconsciousness again following an extended evening within the suite, curiosity driving her to discover whether his presence would continue. Blanket coverage didn't occur this occasion. Rather, he positioned himself across from her, appearing fatigued yet tranquil. And subsequently he initiated speech. "Awareness of whether reciprocal feelings will ever emerge remains unknown to me," he murmured. "Yet transformation has resulted from your presence. Belief in remaining goodness within this existence became possible through you. Emma's smile returned through you. And given the capability, my remaining existence would be dedicated to ensuring solitude never affects you again." Her eyelids separated rapidly, moisture accumulating. Immobility seized him, awareness dawning that consciousness had been maintained. Their gazes connected, no barriers, no facades, simply two spirits who'd located each other through suffering and truthfulness. Her smile emerged through her moisture. "Subsequently cease the pretense, Daniel, for solitude no longer appeals to me either." His reach extended toward her palm. For the initial occasion throughout her existence, Evelyn Knight's withdrawal never materialized. And from that evening forward, the untouchable executive's coldness dissolved, not through salvation provided by another individual, but through finally permitting her own humanity. Occasionally affection doesn't manifest with elaborate demonstrations or flawless chronology. Occasionally its simplicity matches someone murmuring during their assumption of your unconsciousness, Rest is something you've earned.